Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1, no touching of the hair or face.
Of course.
And that's it!
You play as a unicorn.
I see assholes like you every day.
Every fucking day. Think you gonna get away with it? Not up in here!
Not up in here!
Ma, the meatloaf!
Unfortunately, I think the amateur status of the company has come through, and they bit off more than they could chew.
And I feel totally embarrassed about that whole scenario.
Welcome to Game Theory. Join me, your host Souls, and my co-hosts, Tastes Like Chicken, Hey Carnut, and Lemon, as we discuss the latest gaming topics. Oh no. Oh no! I did it again.
Steve! Do something with this guy, please!
Hello everyone and welcome to GameTheoryCast number 19. I'd like to welcome my co-hosts, Tastes Like Chicken and Hey Carnut. Welcome back, guys.
Greetings.
Hello.
Today we have two special guests from HiRez Studios, Sean McBride, the art director from Tribes Ascend. How's it going, dude?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. And we got Kevin Powell, one of the level designers for Tribes Ascend. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, man.
So, Sean, how did you get your start at HiRez Studios?
Well, let's see. Long story. I started as a programmer originally, not at HiRez back in the day, as a mod developer, and transitioned to art at that point, and then did some contract work, hooked up with a management group called Digital Artist Management, and they hooked me up with HiRez, which was right next door to me. I was from Alabama, so not too far away.
Cool, and you like it there?
Absolutely. It's a great company to work for. We've kind of split into a couple different teams now, so we're like a 50-person company, roughly. So but the teams are much smaller than that. Tribe's team is like 15 people at its biggest, so it's a little it's a little smaller now, but it's like a Garage Games sort of feel. Everybody talks to everybody, which is really nice.
How'd you get your start, Kevin?
Let's see. Well, I was in college. I was doing mostly level design and environment art at Savannah College of Art and Design. And after I graduated, I sent out a good bit of resumes and portfolios to a bunch of different companies, and I got a hit back from HiRez. I talked to Todd, and he brought me in. I interviewed with them. That was back in 2010, and they brought me on right after I interviewed, so I've been with them ever since.
Cool. Said you had a question?
Yeah, just kind of wondering how the whole Tribes Ascend thing came about. Like, where did the idea stem from to do another Tribes game? And Sean, can you just fill us in with how that happened?
Yeah, sure. So we fucked up Global Agenda, and we were looking for another game. At the time, I think we were thinking we were going to do a bunch of games with jetpacks because people like jetpacks. I think the natural thought was just to do was like, what game has jetpacks in it, and what IP could we possibly pick up that people would be familiar with, so we didn't have to build an audience from the ground up. So we kind of, I think it was the lead programmer who actually brought it up first, Mick Larkins. He was like, let's make a Tribes game, and I was a huge Tribes fan back in the day. I was a little young, but Tribes won. So I just jumped on board immediately. I was like, that would be amazing if we could get that IP, but that'll never happen. And Todd Harris just started talks with I can't remember who, Instant Action, I think, owned the rights to that. So at the time, and they were I think they were about to close their doors or something. So we just happened to pick up the IP at the time. Through many talks. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen, but I'm glad it did. So
cool. So when did you guys get started on the project, and at what point did you decide to go the free-to-play route?
Yeah, originally we planned to do the Xbox Live Arcade route because we wanted to jump into the console sector. So I was super excited about that because I had been wanting to do a console game for a while. But at one point, I think we had discussions with a few different publishers, and people at the time were really reluctant to do anything with a retro style first-person shooter. There was a lot of reservations around what happened with other games that had done that. So we kind of looked at it again and looked at what we had done with Global Agenda, and decided that the free-to-play route just made sense for the title. And there was definitely some minor, alterations to what we had originally planned, but it just kind of fit really well, and team really rallied behind it. So.
Sounds like it went off well. What makes Tribes Ascend so unique compared to other first-person shooters, Kevin?
Well, I really think it's the speed, and it gets back to the roots of FPS, really. Moving fast, the whole thing with Unreal Tournament and everything. That's really where I started, playing FPS. Is like Doom and everything that moved into Unreal Tournament, and I really think the speed of the game is what was missing from the FPS genre for a while, and you dealing with the games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. It's just something different, and I think that definitely works at this time. Bringing it back, it's pretty awesome to see people flying through the air and doing crazy stuff as opposed to running and going prone on the ground all the time.
Cedric, you had a question?
Yeah, just sort of about the studio in general. Where do you guys work out of, and how many people are employed at HiRez?
It's about a 50-person studio, give or take, 5 or 6 people. It's just north of Atlanta, Georgia, so it's like 15 minutes north in Alpharetta, and it's a beautiful little city. Lots of it's a really well-off area, so it's not uncommon to see like a Lamborghini driving down one of the main stretches.
Cool. So what does a art director do, Sean?
I was given the title art director just to kind of make the team very cohesive and have a nice solid vision for what we wanted the game to look like. So, but I don't necessarily just do art direction. I did like 90% of the particle effects and Tribes, and I did 2 of the Diamond Sword characters and a few weapons. So, but what art director does is he just kind of makes sure that you're talking with the producer on the game, make sure that you're hitting your deadlines, and all the team understands what everybody else is doing. So you're like the glue, the supporting role to kind of make sure everybody is supported and they can get their job done, and the guy down the line from them knows when he's going to get something too.
Said you had a question?
Kevin, what does a level designer do, like day to day? What sort of things make you important at HiRez?
Well, there's a lot of things. For the most part, we make the maps for the game, of course. But it's a little more than just putting hills everywhere. Really, every day it's really different day to day. Pretty much depends on what my task at hand is. But pretty much from conception to completion of a level, we're talking with the art team and trying to figure out what kind of art set we want for the level, and then we go in as level designers and block out the level. Of course, the terrain is the most important part, especially with Tribes. So I myself have tried out a bunch of different techniques with starting out levels. It's been a huge learning experience for me, making levels for Tribes, definitely. But usually we block out the level first, and we play it, we play test it, and if it's fun, we begin to art it and everything. And that's where all the prettiness comes into the level. So, you're looking at something like Dry Dock, all the ships flying over and, rocks everywhere, trees everywhere. We go in and set dress that stuff with the assets our team gives us and everything. So pretty much day to day, it's either blocking out levels or set dressing, lighting, something to that note.
So guys, I'll start with you, Sean. What is your favorite game mode in Tribes Ascend?
I think a lot of people hate this game mode, but I absolutely adore Arena because it reminds me of Quake, and that's kind of where I flourished as an FPS player. So,
what about you, Kevin?
What was the question again? Sorry, I was reading.
Game mode. Favorite game mode.
My favorite game mode, I would have to say, because I really like Arena, but CTF. I was at PAX and I was flag running the whole time, so I really like CTF. But I'm gonna have to say Arena for now. I just like destroying people in Arena.
Is it is that an uncommon game mode or something? Arena?
For me, I see CTF as the main game type, but
okay.
For other people, it may be CTF. It may be Arena or defend, capture and hold. So yeah, I'd have to go with Arena for now.
Yes, CTF is kind of like the flagship, no pun intended, game mode for Tribes. But we do look at the stats, and Arena it's played, but it's not played nearly as much as CTF is.
Okay, Cedric.
It's Sean. What was the development process like for you guys in building this game? And as somebody that looks after sort of the visual aspect of the game, how much sort of research did you have to do into the previous games to kind of tie in a similar art style, but somehow modernize it or update it?
Yeah, we went in kind of understanding that we'd have to update the style a decent amount, and whenever we could, we try to bring back elements from the original games. So whenever we look at something like, say, we were going to bring back the Diamond Sword tribe, I would go back and take screenshots of Tribes 2 and Tribes 1 and really get all sides of the character, and I'd sit down with the concept artist and we'd discuss things that we really wanted to bring back visually from each group. I think overall people remembered Diamond Sword as like just kind of like space knights, they're just really gilded and they've got the silver and gold, and they just look like kind of regal royal knights. So we tried to make that we tried to keep that picture in our minds, but still at the same time do something a little different. That was our own sort of vision of what Tribes was. So we tried to be really true and bring back elements of Tribes and Tribes 2, but do our own thing with it. I think we ended up with something pretty good.
What tools did you guys use to create the art in Tribes, and how long does a typical art element take to create, Sean?
It depends on what kind of asset you're talking about, but we use 3D Studio Max and Pixelogic's ZBrush, and then other supporting software like Crazy Bump, and some people use XNormal, but it's just whatever the artist prefers to use. Typically our main packages are Photoshop and Max and ZBrush. So but let's say like a weapon would take our main weapon artist, like it depends on the asset, but it could take anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. A character will typically take like 3 weeks. A brand new character, it's a long process.
Kevin, what sort of challenges did you come across in doing some level design for Tribes Ascend? How much research did you personally have to do in the older games to make sure that it sort of fit with the flow of the series?
Oh man, challenges, they keep coming. Definitely when starting out with Catabatic, it was just a huge challenge because our gameplay was changing constantly because we're extremely iterative studio. We play test something different every day early on, and it was just really hard to overcome, the gameplay changing and everything, and trying to decide what is going to work best for our type of game. And I think now I'm sort of getting the hang of it, since we've released and everything. But there's still a lot of things I want to try, and there's still a lot of things we haven't explored with as far as level design, with the maps. And so it just keeps getting better and better, especially with redoing maps too. Katabatic was sort of a special case because we didn't really, port the map. But Rain Dance was pretty much a direct port, in the respect that, it looks, it's pretty much the same map, but there's some things that were tweaked to fit better to our gameplay. But yeah, the challenges, there's challenges every day with as far as map design, just trying to figure out what works best and what's fun for our game. And I think I'm sort of honing in on what's going to work for pub play and competitive play. So as time goes on, I'll definitely get better with knowing what works for which game types and which group of our players, we're trying to tailor to. But yeah, it's just been an awesome learning experience, making maps for tribes, and I hope to do it for a long time. So,
speaking of maps, how many maps are in Tribes Ascend in total? Seems like there's a lot.
Oh man, it's been a while since I counted. I don't know off the top of my head. I haven't been keeping track.
No worries.
Question from the IRC here. Archangel X is wondering how come more of the maps aren't symmetrical. We have what, like 3 level designers on the project right now, and like I said, we were trying out a bunch of different things for all the different game types and everything. And I guess he's talking about CTF. And that was a really interesting thing because we were trying to figure out, making stuff symmetrical, of course, makes it balanced. But then again, you can also make things balanced even if they aren't symmetrical. And that's sort of what I tried to do with Katabatic. I wanted there to be certain routes for each team that you could run, but were still not way more stronger than the other teams. I'm not sure if I totally succeeded with that, but that's something I tried with that. And I'd like to make maps balanced, and making them symmetrical is the easiest way, but I definitely would like to explore having more asymmetrical maps that were extremely balanced as well. Cool. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, what sort of the aspects of the level design were important to the franchise, and what did you guys change for the new game?
Well, for our game, physics has always been, important in all the games. And for our game, with it being developed in the Unreal Engine and everything, we had to, pretty much redo all of the physics. And so that's the thing that feels, the most different, when developing for our game, is it's different. It fits our game, but it still works, sort of the same. And, we have skiing and everything. So it's just finding a balance between all of that stuff. That's the biggest thing.
Cool. Kind of off the topic here, but you guys have any plans for a sequel or a follow-up?
Sean?
I definitely think that eventually we'll do a sequel to Tribes, but our focus right now is to keep supporting Tribes, and for the foreseen future, just pump out new content.
Sounds like a plan. Do you guys want to take some IRC questions?
Sure.
And forum questions. I'll do the first one here. When can we expect demo recording features, says PubD, kind of a very specific question from the Tribes forums.
I'm not quite sure on that question because I'm obviously the art side, but I know that there has been some looking into it. It's definitely something that we've all talked about would be very awesome for Tribes, but as far as I know, not being a coder, I don't think the Unreal Engine supports it out of the box, so or not at least with the way that we've implemented our platform on top of Unreal. So it's very complex the way that we have our stuff put on top of Unreal. So I'm not sure what the issue is there, but we're definitely looking into it, and it's something that that I know at least one coder is very interested in it.
Okay,
Cool.
So do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, Nikel from the forums was asking. He wants to know about fixing the melee behavior, something that we could get before a physics rework.
Sean, you want to take that one?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
I was just wondering about the melee behavior and if there could be a fix before you guys rework physics.
Oh, okay. The melee behavior. Yeah, that was something I had been noticing in my local test before we even released the game. It seems like the hit is delayed even in a zero lag environment, which is a little strange. But I'm not sure if we plan. It's not on the current list right now to change the melee behavior, but it's definitely something that we know about. It's not necessarily something that, like, I know that, you know, in 2 weeks it'll be fixed or something. It's not like that at all. I just know that we know about it, and we haven't necessarily figured out what we want to do about it.
Okay, we're getting a bunch of questions here in the IRC. Let's start with this one from the Eschaton. I think I pronounced that right. Where does this game's story fall on the Earthsiege universe timeline, and can you give us exact dates if possible, he says.
I don't have exact dates. That's really something more for our lead designer, but I do know that it is after all of the things that had happened in Tribes 2. There's like a prophecy that that's in the Tribes lore that basically describes why Diamond Sword is attacking Blood Eagle, and there's a big story thing that the lead designer's written up that he's never really put out there. I don't know why exactly, but
so
okay. Yeah, from the forums, Protocol 9 was wondering, can we receive concept art as sneak previews for upcoming Children of Phoenix, Bioderm, and Starwolf?
I don't know if I want to put any of that out there yet. We do have some Bioderm stuff that we did early on, but I think we're going to change some stuff around on that. We have confirmed that we do want to do Bioderms as a purchasable skin, and I've said in the forums a couple times that I'm very interested in bringing back the other tribes in purchasable skin form, but we don't necessarily they're not in our immediate schedule right now. We're going through each of the classes and finding weapons and that we think will fit on the classes, and then doing at least one or two skins on those classes first. So we will be wrapping back around to add more skins to each class, but it's not on our immediate timetable right now.
Okay. What sort of this is for Kevin, by the way. What sort of release schedule do you guys have for new maps?
Our release schedule is right now it's dictated by our designer, and we pretty much have I'd say like a backlog of maps to release. We're working on them, ahead of time, which should be obvious. So I'm not really sure of the schedule, but I just know that I'll be working on maps until they tell me to stop. So I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, I'm going to be working on maps for however long it takes.
We do have two people in IRC saying, will Bella Omega ever come back?
Oh, God.
I mean, I hope so. I spent a lot of time on the map when I initially got it. I don't know where to start with Bella, because it's so dear to me, because I inherited the map, and it grew on me because I put so much time into it, and at that time we had just started up the map feedback threads on the forums, and I was just taking any and all feedback, and I was changing up the map so much just based on everything that was being said on the forums, and I definitely learned a lot with that especially for feedback. Just I can't take everything that was being proposed on the forums, and since Bella, I've definitely got better at listening to feedback and filtering through the good ideas and the bad ideas and the trolls. So I hope it comes back. But at this time, I'm not sure what's going to happen to Bella.
Okay, sort of along the same lines, another question from the forums. Will the upcoming maps favor reimaginings of classic Tribes maps, or will they be completely new?
Really, I love I love remaking the classic maps. Rain Dance is really fun, but there's also some problems with the classic maps, as is shown in the forums. Definitely, people liked Rain Dance when it first came out, but then there's been issues with turtling, I guess, and it's been a lot of people being vocal in the forums about the turtling issue, and that's something I've been looking at a lot. And so that's the danger with porting these maps. It's like we have a couple of choices here. It's like either we can port maps 100% and leave it as it is, because there's that whole nostalgia factor of oh, we're gonna port a map and it's gonna be that map. I don't want to change anything, because then people some people will be mad that we changed it because it was better for our gameplay, or some people will be mad that we didn't change it because now people are turtling. So it's really a hard decision to decide on what we do with the legacy maps, at least from my perspective. But yeah, I would definitely like to port more maps, but running into this problem, we'll have to sort of evaluate how we port maps later on, if we want to just leave it as it is, or do we want to change it up to have a better design as far as for our game. So it's a touchy subject, but I definitely would like to do more maps. But I would have to let it be known that if we do port maps, if there's something that throws off the balance as far as gameplay, then I would have to change it for gameplay purposes. We don't want people sitting in a match for 30 minutes, with a turtle fest going on. So that's my only gripe with it.
Right. How often do you guys read into the previous installments, Star Siege Tribes and Tribes 2, for the source material and view imagery when designing and creating new maps? Kevin?
Really, we look at all the Tribes games, definitely Tribes 1 and Tribes 2, and I just recently got a couple of PMs on the forums to look at some stuff from Tribes of Vengeance. So I have them all installed on my computer at work, and when I was doing Catabatic and when I was doing Rain Dance, I was looking at them, and I've been looking at other maps to recreate too, and that's just it's sort of in the same vein as the last question. I've been looking at the previous Tribes titles for inspiration a lot, so that's I think it's really important to make sure we capture that essence of the previous games in the levels, especially because that's what a lot of people remember is the hills and stuff like that. So I definitely want to capture that in my maps and do it justice. So yeah, I've definitely looked to a lot of the old stuff to make my new maps and stuff like that.
Cool. Maybe direct this at Kevin from Mobius Pizza from the forums. He's wondering, can we expect mod tools and map editors for custom servers, including in-game support of loading third-party maps directly from server?
I don't really know the question. I know the answer to that question, but I would like to see new maps and stuff pop up. It definitely. I don't think it'll put me out of a job. I'd like to see more maps and see how they play, because the more user created content, the better. But it's just a matter of finding a way to supply that to everyone with our current system. I would definitely like to see that, or some sort of contest or something like that to see what everybody has to offer.
Yeah, like if there was some way to have them sort of submit maps to you guys, and you can pick and choose, and even release a map pack from the community mappers, would that be something that you guys would consider?
I can't answer that, but I can just tell you my opinion. I would love to see it, but I don't make the decisions as far as that's concerned. But yeah, it's bring on more maps. People are wanting more maps, so let's get it to them.
Fair enough.
Got a more general question here. How does HiRez intend to expand the customization system, and how many weapons for each class? Primary, secondaries, belts, packs, etc., etc.
We basically have a list of items that we are on our near future, but I don't have a total number of like where we want to be. I know that there's some classes like the Brute who are really, really lacking right now, and we're definitely trying to hit up those types of classes, relatively soon. So I can't really divulge much information other than what's already been spilled onto Reddit, but basically we do intend to expand each class out quite a bit. We don't really plan to add like an additional class right now. I think we have a good number of classes, so the roles are pretty much already set, and we're just going to expand on those classes.
Okay. This seems to be a popular question, a 3-timer from the forums. Has the Havoc been scrapped, or is it still coming?
That's a really tough question. We do obviously have the Havoc. We've had it in the game internally, and we've played with it. It's not something that we felt was super supportive of the gameplay. That's why we're really hesitant to release it. And when I say supportive of the gameplay, I mean for Tribes Ascend. It's a really touchy subject with a lot of people, but we're hesitating to release it based on the way it plays in the game. So we're really still workshopping it internally. I think we just recently went through another iteration, so we'll see where it ends up, but it's not ready.
Not sure who to ask this one to. I guess Sean. Are you guys planning to release more vehicles in the future? This is from Eschaton.
I won't say we're planning to release new vehicles. We don't have a bunch of vehicles that we have a list of things we want to release, but it's not off our radar. I mean, it's something that I think that we've thought about. That would be good for the community to kind of hop back on and say, hey, this is new, this is cool, but we don't really want to change the gameplay of Tribes too much. I think people are really happy with, or most people are really happy with the way that Tribes plays currently, and I know people want to maybe shift it a little slower, a little faster, or whatever, but I think where we've ended up is good for the community for now.
Sean, this one for the IRC. When acting as art director, how often do you have to step in to keep concept artists visionings in line? Have you had to deal with some really spastic designs when creating the 2 present tribes, or weapons to bring them more in line with the tribe's setting?
We're pretty much we talk a lot. We sit right next to each other. So there's only one concept artist, and the other weapons we don't really draw out a concept. We actually do a rough model and put it in the game and see how it feels. That's why you see on Reddit all this leaked content. There's BSP looking. I think people internally call it BSP. It's the default texture in Unreal. That's why you see those rough models in the game. But to keep things in line with Tribes, really what I'm really worried about is when we did the plasma gun, not doing something that didn't at all look like a plasma gun. We wanted to really bring back the traditional silhouette and make it look familiar to people. So we typically have a big problem with going way out of what Tribes is, because Tribes was a little zany in its own way. So I guess that answers your question, right?
Should, yeah. This is from the forum user Felix TG. When is the Beowulf going to be getting the love promised last December?
That's another question for, I guess, a coder. I think we looked at it for a while, but I know there's still some remaining issues. We're hitting up bigger items on our list first. Like I said, we're a small team, so I think we have like 2 active programmers right now. So it's we're doing the best we can.
Kevin,
Okay.
Future maps, if you guys were going to release some, would they be bigger, smaller? Would they add some sort of variety to the game pace?
That's an interesting one. Like I said, I've been learning a lot with making maps for tribes, and in the beginning we had cries out for bigger maps, and then I made ruins, and people just did not like that. And I think there's this balance that the map can be big, but the position of the bases has to be right. And I've been working a lot trying to find this balance as far as base distance compared to the whole map size. And I think I found something that's going to be pretty interesting. And I know with Bella, I was trying to figure out how to make the generator more important with the force fields and everything. And so there's a lot of things I want to try out with new maps. And so the one I'm working on now is going to be really interesting because it's going to bring in it's really large, but the bases are fairly close together. And there's some other things that make the generator really important. So I think it's going to be interesting once that one gets released. I like to see how it plays out once it reaches live. But yeah, to answer your question, I like to play around with a bunch of different map sizes and base layouts and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to be playing around with a lot of that stuff for a while.
Protocol seems to be on the spotlight. This is from him in the IRC. This is directed at you, Kevin. Have you considered using different tribes' themes for future maps? He says, right now, fire theme maps have Children of Phoenix, and the Arcs is the Soul Blood Eagle map, but the rest are mainly Diamond Sword. How about some Star Wolf theme maps?
That's really more of a question for Sean too. I mean, we collaborate on a lot of stuff, but yeah, it's really just both of us collaborating. When the art team and a level designer get together, we pretty much just figure out what sort of art set we're working on. So really, you could see anything in the future maps. It's all open out there, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a desire to do like throwbacks to other tribes, but as far as like doing a set for Star Wolf, other than just the generalist, we didn't really feel like it would benefit the game too much. So instead of going deep into one set, like doing Star Wolf snowy bases and Diamond Sword snowy bases and Blood Eagle snowy bases, it was more like, we have a small team, let's do really drastically different art sets, and then use those as much as possible. We have a new art set that nobody's seen that's coming out pretty soon, that looks pretty cool. It looks really different than the other stuff, but that doesn't mean that we won't go back and like add little elements of the other tribes. It just seems kind of weird if you don't have like the active tribe playing, but yet you have some kind of reference to them. We did that with Children of Phoenix only because it fit the lore of what we were doing for the area. And again, the lore is not out there, but at least internally it felt good for me. So
So do you want to take the next RC question?
Yeah, not too sure who to direct this at, so just jump in if you can talk about it. Are there any plans to bring the targeting laser back? It was already in-game and working. Why pull it out in favor of strikes?
I guess Sean?
Yeah, that's another tough question. We didn't pull it out in favor of the strikes. We pulled it out at the same time because I guess we didn't really feel like it was super supportive of the game. It did work, like he said. We did actually have the saber launcher missiles tracking it at one point, so you could guide your friend's missile into a person, and that was actually so effective that we felt that it made the saber launcher even more overpowered. So at the time it was overpowered, very. So we toned those things back, and I think it got lost in the shuffle. There's a desire, I think it's brought up every once in a while, to bring it back into the game, because it doesn't really it doesn't make anything overpowered or affect the game significantly. So I think it's something that's on the table, but we haven't necessarily prioritized it yet.
All right, I got another one here from Eschaton. He's just wondering, when you're designing levels, weapons, and characters, do you create their lore first and then make them the in-game representation to fit the lore, or do you create these in-game first and then think of the lore to explain them?
Sometimes it is kind of backwards, but we try to reference as much Tribes lore as possible when we're either conceptualizing a gun. Like if we wanted to come up with a new gun, we might say, where does this fit in, at least in the gameplay first, and then before we even start making the asset, we'll say, what does it maybe resemble in the Tribes world, and then we'll just try to tie that in with what exists now for Tribes of Sin. So and if we're bringing back a classic gun, of course we're going to look at the classic gun. So
okay.
Yeah, it's been interesting doing the level side of it, because there's a lot of lore with the Tribes IP. So yeah, we've been pulling from the lore a lot with some of the levels, definitely. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about that.
All right, got one from Cryptical, directed at Kevin. You keep mentioning this fabled list. Can you expand on what's currently on the list up until the near future?
The list? I don't know if I
was
mentioning the list.
Yeah, the list is a secret list. It's not things that we've currently talked about. We try to be at least a little secretive about things, because we want kind of an unveiling. But if you want to know more about the list, you probably could go to Reddit. I guess that's my best answer to that question.
Fair enough. Short-term sort of goals or things you're trying to get accomplished. Start with Sean.
I'm sorry, I was reading the IRC. What was that?
Next, couple months, what sort of stuff you guys gonna throw out for content? Let's say.
Like I said, I can't really go into too many details, but the next patch is coming out next week sometime. So you're about to see a decent content drop there. It's a little different than the past couple we've done, but it'll be good for the community. And then we plan on patching often for the next I guess few weeks. You're gonna see some new content, a decent, I think, 2 classes in the next 6 to 8 weeks, so pretty quick, I guess.
No, fair enough. In-game voice chat, are you guys planning on adding that at any point to make teamwork a little bit easier?
I am not sure. It's something that I know we got dinged for on some reviews, and there's some pros and cons to voice chat. I think that internally our stance has always been that if you're a group of guys that really do want to communicate and you work well together, then you're going to be on TeamSpeak or Ventrilo or something, So there's been kind of the thought that there's more griefing that goes on in public play for voice over IP than is constructive. So, and the VGS system was kind of like a throwback, and it does help sometimes. Like if you say I'm going to go for the flag, So that, but it can't really be used by pub play either. So I know that there's kind of a lacking of communication there, but we do really feel that if you do intend to communicate with your friends, that you're probably going to be on TeamSpeak, Skype, something already.
Yeah, I think we had it in Global Agenda, and nobody really used it a whole lot. So that was another deterrent from having it in this one. And yeah, like Sean said, if you're like a focused group playing, you're probably going to be on TeamSpeak or Ventrilo anyway. So yeah.
What are you guys most proud of in the game so far that you've developed? So let's start off with Sean.
We're talking a specific asset, I really like the light spin fuser because that was one asset that I was really excited about doing. And I was a little worried that we weren't going to get to do it because we did kind of a blending of the first spin fuser between, Tribes Vengeance and just kind of all the tribes. We blended them together and it ended up what it looking like. But the Tribes 2 spin fuser is the light spin fuser, and Tribes Ascendant, I was really happy that turned out looking really good. And as far as overall, I think the game is really fun. I enjoy playing it. I still play it. I love to hop into Arena a lot. I know I've been talking about Arena probably more than I should, but it's pretty popular, and it's like potato chips. You just want to keep playing it, at least for me. So.
And you, Kevin?
I'd say for me, really just the whole game, how it came together, and how it is right now. I mean, it's gonna keep evolving, really, and seeing memes and everything pop up. It's just really awesome to see something you worked on just grow like that, and I want to see it keep growing. Definitely.
Okay. Set any questions from the IRC?
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep up here, but Cryptical was wondering, will you guys add in Matchmaker? If so, will it be as intrusive as GA's Matchmaker?
There's been no plan to do matchmaking. I think I might have heard something about it a while ago, but we haven't actively been developing something. I know that there's some issues with team stacking, so I think that we'll probably eventually handle that in some way, but we're not currently actively working on it. At least I don't know of it. Like I said, I'm usually art side, so I try to keep my head down there.
Any news on VIP servers that went away after the beta?
What was that?
VIP servers that went away after the beta. Any news on them?
I don't think we currently are going to do VIP only servers. I think we felt like that split the community too much. I don't know why exactly we removed VIP servers, but I think that to have VIP servers and the server system that we currently have would be a little redundant. You can always password your private server if you wanted to do that. So.
Mask asks, I think that's how you pronounce it, when are you going to fix all the exploits in the game like sniping, no fog, port? I'll just reword it. When are you going to fix all the exploits in the game, or some of them?
We're currently working on, all the main cheats that people use. We're very, very active on exploiting truly the game. But as far as exploiting game mechanics, like I said, a lot of all the devices work as we intend them to, like disc and mortar damage, splash damage. So, and no fog. I don't know if he means like turning fog off or having us not having enough fog because Tribes fog was pretty thick. We intend to keep the game very open visually, so that was it's again, all that stuff's working as intended.
Okay, one here from Raki. Are skins for weapons and different particle colors going to be available for purchasing?
We've talked about doing weapon skins. That's something that we're interested in, but haven't currently started. And effects. I've been hesitant to do custom particle effects and stuff because I didn't want the game to get too zany. Like GA went really zany at some point, and at some point you kind of jump the shark. You're like, okay, we don't really care anymore about visual continuity with the existing IP. With Global Agenda, we could do whatever we wanted to with it. But with Tribes, there's a certain expectation. A lot of people asked for, they wanted color-teamed particle effects, like shoot a mortar and it would be blue or red depending on which team you were on, which I really didn't want to do because it just broke what Tribes was originally. Is, obviously it was team damage, which didn't matter which team you were on, but there's things that visually I want to keep the game really true to what Tribes is, and at some point we'll probably add particle effects that don't really break too far out of that mold and allow you to customize, but again, I don't want it to go too zany too fast.
We got another question here from Got Haggis. He says, will we ever get taunts and animations?
I don't think that we've talked about it like a long time ago, but we don't actively have that in the pipeline, so no.
We got one from Protocol, directed at you, Sean. As art director, would you be interested in doing a breakdown splash image for the Myrmidon or Hoplite, or maybe even Peltist armor that displays the inner workings of the newer designs?
We had some of those early on. When you look at the concepts, it does kind of have a breakdown of what works, but we didn't actually go into like a layered drawing of what the inner workings of the armor is. We currently are working purely on new content, so I doubt we would go back and do that sort of thing, but that's a really cool idea.
You guys got anything for the fans? Any questions to ask them?
I don't really think we have maybe a cohesive like a very good representation of the whole player base, but my main question would be like, what do you want to see weapon wise? What do you want to see like new weapon wise? That I think that's the most interesting question, because those are the things that we really know that players like and they sell well, is that new weapons. As far as side grades, we always try to do side grades, not something OP and like the whole fiasco with the plasma gun was unintentional. It was not on purpose. So, but that's my main question. What do you guys want to see?
Oh, I got a question from Devil's Fist. Is this game going to be able to run in DirectX 11?
I do not believe we currently plan to upgrade to the Unreal Engine build that supports DirectX 11, and we probably wouldn't have a lot of features that we would enable on DirectX 11 that would visually add a lot to the game, like adaptive tessellation and all those things. That the game art is set the way it is, and if we were to do a sequel, we would definitely have all the new stuff, but that's not something we are going to bring to Tribes.
Hang on, I got a question from Frozen Skills. He's wondering when this game will be compatible with Mac or Linux.
Again, I don't really think there's a plan to upgrade to the latest build, which does support Mac. We're not currently going after Mac right now, so unfortunately you'll have to dual boot, but I don't know if there's a desire to do that or not.
Okay. Oh, will there be future maps which are indoor-based focused, with either very expansive bases or possibly linked bases? This is an interesting question, says Yamatoshi.
Yeah, there definitely is. I'd say there definitely is a possibility for there to be indoor bases. I'm exploring a lot of stuff now with map design. So I really just want to see what works, and I'm still testing out stuff. So if there is a huge want for indoor bases, I'd say sure, I can try that out. It's really a matter of how much time I have on making CTF maps, and we have our different game types and stuff like that. So I can get switched around at any moment, really. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a possibility for an indoor map.
Okay, I got one here from the Eschaton. He's wondering, are you guys open to any minor contributions from fan fiction, fan art community? Can we have a story art contest for inclusion in the canon?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm always in favor of community contests, but I mean, I think that's something we could probably work out.
Oh, is HiRez aware of the SAP 20 leak? If so, what are your thoughts on it being leaked? Says Tamiel.
I saw that this morning. I mean, it's always disappointing when you're trying to work on something and you're it's your baby, so you're protecting it until it's what you feel is finished. But ultimately, I don't really think it really doesn't damage the game, because people weigh in before it even comes out, and we kind of adjust. So it's kind of nice in a way that people know about the SAP 20, but don't expect it to be the same gun when it's released. In fact, I think it shoots a projectile right now, so at least in the build we have currently. So that might change. Anything is subject to change at this point because it's not officially out. So.
A lot of people in the IRC seem to be very concerned about the aimbot / cheating. I guess just reiterate what you guys are doing to always change that.
We have a very talented programmer who's working on anti-cheat software that's specific to us. So he's very good at what he does, and we ban the hell out of cheaters every day, all the time, and we hear support complaints all the time from people who claim they weren't cheating and all these other things, and we just are very, very vigilant about that. So just keep reporting it, and the guy's going to get banned. And it happens pretty quickly too.
We have time for a few more questions. Sid, go on.
Oh, they're kind of all over the place here.
Yeah, try to pick one that's not too specific.
Yeah, actually, what I should say is, if you guys have questions, just fire an email off to GameTheoryCast@gmail.com. We'll go through all the emails. We'll forward questions off to these guys, since a lot of these are pretty specific and they might not have the right answer for you guys. They can maybe pass it on internally, and then we can maybe post it up on the site or on their forums or whatever.
And any last questions, IRC fellas? Let's see here. Oh, are heavy skins planned soon, says HV Flateric.
Yeah, actually, we're currently working on some skins internally for that. So we do plan on releasing heavy skins. Again, they will be class specific, at least for this first pass. So it might take a little while, but we're currently working on some of that.
Okay. Well, we're approaching the hour mark. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for making time to be on the show. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, sure. It was a pleasure.
And thank you, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And once again, thank you, Cedric, for being here.
Yeah, no problem. And guys in the IRC, sorry we got to kind of cut this off. But yeah, like email those questions in. We'll pass them along and get as many answers as possible.
Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe to us on Twitch TV, GameTheoryCast. Also, follow TL Chicken and Souls2003 on Twitter. And thanks, everyone, for listening in.
So anyway, we're between banks right now. Just make those checks out to cash. Cave Johnson, we're done here.